out and very lonely in my isolated tower of indecipherable speech.
Always behind, while building to none. Behold the beginning, got swept up in one, twisting and fair, magnificent lines and the furious blind, tranquil and calm for the gaze left behind. Within Meridian here.
You'd never see anything anyway, though. Turn the camera and play music and...
Now we get into the id, or the unconscious psychological impulses section of the songs. This is also dealing with how we reflect back on the past and what it took to arrive at this point and all the lessons learned. This song also deals with language and how we communicate, but also in thought and how we think to ourselves and reason out problems. The name Meridian's Tear really comes from that first image I saw, that long white strip of cloud across the blue sky. With that image in mind, I sort of saw the information of everything residing in it. As far as the songs are concerned, seeing that white crack in the sky would be the first indication of a devastating change. I know that for me, I would see something like that and reflect on everything I've done to arrive at this current point. I think about all that I've done and the work I put into the projects I loved. The sad, slow intro is that part where a montage of memory would be. In my head, I see both family albums flashing by, good times, bad times, instances with friends, and all the hurdles one must overcome. I also see history flashing by, decades and centuries fly past as even evolution hurdles through development. I used text-to-speech on the intro in part because I liked the way the first iterations of text-to-speech sound, but I also wanted it to represent both the simple and most basic form of language being pushed through modern technology, machines speaking to us using a language we developed with sounds we can understand. The song even ends with the indecipherable rambling off a record. I believe I got that sample from this very old record of a man reading Shakespeare, so the language is hard to comprehend while also being regarded as some of the best language ever put to paper. Performing these songs live was quite the task. We played live with a real drummer, but in order to get all the samples and strings and keyboard sounds and automation, I ran everything off my Kurzweil K2500S keyboard. There was a MIDI sequencer on there that I wrote most of the old songs on, so I arranged a click track on it, and we all played to that click track to keep us in sync with the orchestral stuff and the keyboard parts. I did the keyboard solos live, but everything else was running as a sequence and a click track. The first 4 songs were all one long sequence, so once I hit go, we were off to the races, and we couldn't really get off that click, and we had to play things pretty much perfectly, but we started off every show basically playing the entirety of this album from start to finish. These days, bands would just use laptops to run their keyboard tracks and samples live. However, for us, I used my Kurzweil. The benefit of that was that I could also use the MIDI sequencer to change all of our foot pedals. I remember hearing how Marty Friedman, while in Megadeth, would have this guy off stage changing his guitar sounds and pressing his pedals for him while he played live. The Cea Serin guitarist at that time, Keith and Forrest, were both keen on the idea of doing that, so I programmed all of our foot pedal changes into the MIDI sequence to free us up from having to worry about all of that when it came to playing live. In fact, from the stage, I was able to control our in-ear monitors, all of our foot pedal changes, volume pedal controls, vocal processor changes, click track, and I could even turn off the sound of certain things so we could change guitars in between songs without any audio mishaps. Many Cea Serin songs are meant to live entirely on CD or audio format exclusively. There are these long breaks and instrumental sections where the band isn't really doing anything. Meridian's Tear was definitely one of those songs that didn't translate very well live because the intro is a bit long and the outro is pretty long too. But I refused to cut any of the content, so for those parts the band members had plenty of time to change guitars, tune, and walk around, waiting for the next click track to begin. This song comes down to self-reflection in a space of devastating loss. Because when the ground shifts beneath us and the life we knew begins to fade, it's easy to focus on what's being lost. It's in quiet moments of self-reflection we start to see what really matters. It's not the things we have clung to, but the relationships we've forged, the lessons we've learned, and the strength we never knew we had. Change is inevitable, and I, for one, have never been a big fan of change, but no matter how devastating, change can strip away the noise and leave us with clarity. And it's in that clarity we find not just what we've lost, but what we've always had, and what may carry us forward.